I'm Jen Toothaker-Burdick. I met some of you as you were coming in. I'm the project manager. I work with the Department of Transportation, and I just want to share a little bit about the meeting purpose today. We are here, it's taken a year and a half for us to get here to develop the information to a point that it's consistent enough that it applies to many different projects. It's a fair and consistent amount of information that we're sharing. It's taken a lot of pressing from the Broadway Citizens Task Force members, the Sunshine Mile Business Association, community advocates in the neighborhoods surrounding your businesses who are very interested in your future and wanting to protect you. And so the City of Tucson has pulled together information working within cross departments to pull what we hope will give you at least some additional tools in your toolbox today. We will be making this information available after this meeting online so that other folks who could not attend will have access to it. And I do want to point out that our city staff that's been involved includes Planning and Development Services. You'll hear from Trish Galen here in just a little bit. There's our Integrated Planning Office, an Economic Initiatives Office, Transportation, Real Estate Office, Historic Preservation, and Regional Transportation Authority's Main Street Business Assistance Program. And all of us are here today to be able to be a resource to you. You can ask us direct questions. Of course, you're sitting at the tables because we'll be doing table discussions, as Phil indicated, and we have provided forms for you to fill out today. We really hope that you'll take the time to do that. On the back side are some areas for input about today's meeting information, materials, things that the task force could use from you. And so if you could please turn that in, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, because we'll be going through a lot of slides, if you have questions about things, we ask that you hold it till your table discussions. There's Post-its at the tables, or you can make notes on the back side of your form to use for the table discussions. Okay, let me get going here before I use up more time. The important disclaimers. I wouldn't be a good city employee if I didn't have disclaimers and caution statements to make. Our concept maps that are at the tables are subject to change. Nothing is set yet. There's no decisions that have been made. We're nearing that point. But what you're looking at today is to help you understand what is being explored and how that impacts you so that we can begin to give you some information, help answer your questions, and get your input. We cannot, I know many of you have been expecting this project to come to fruition at some point, have been thinking about your futures, and may have decided that you're not going to stay in the area or you want to relocate. If you make those expressions today, I just need to be clear with you, we cannot change the design of the plan of the roadway because of that. Your statements today may change, and our roadway plan needs to be independent and objective of that. So that's what we're working towards. I just need to make that very clear. Also, we're pulling together summary statements to be able to share with the rest of the task force at next week's meeting. So there will be a public report, and so we just want to let you know that, so any statements that you make, you're aware, could be part of a report that goes public.
But the form they fill out is confidential, is that
The
correct?
form that you fill out is confidential. We will remove your names, but the information that you include will not be tied to you directly and will be shared. So very quickly, the Broadway project background. Very quickly, the long history of this project. It really started in 1987, and I really just want to point out with this that the recommendations approved in 1987 are what related to the north side only widening. There's been some confusion about north side widening being part of the ballot language for the RTA project or for the Broadway and the county bond ordinance, and it's a separate decision that was made by mayor and council in 1989. Now, there are two ballots that came into play in 1997. The Pima County Transportation Bonds, $25 million was approved by voters for widening of Broadway to 6 or 8 lanes. And the 2006 RTA plan, project number 17, ballot language is widen the roadway to 6-lane arterial plus 2 dedicated bus lanes, bike lanes, and sidewalks. That's what's governing a lot of the work that we're doing on the project. And of course, you know that when the project kicked off for real in 2012, there was a lot of controversy. We have been looking at alternatives to the 6+2 project description with the task force. The task force, and if I could get our task force members to just stand so that people know who you are. They are amazing volunteer people who and the folks that are here today particularly represent you, the business and property owner segment stakeholder group. There's 13 members. They've been meeting diligently over the last 2 years for considering all these different alternatives relating to the Broadway project design. They have taken recent actions. The 6+2, based on technical data compiled with the help of the project team, is deemed too large of a facility and it would not warrant the benefits for the costs. So it is, they've elected to take that off the table from consideration. The 4-lane that was being looked at has also been tabled. And so what you see on the maps in front of you is a 6-lane width that it would accommodate 6 traffic lanes, or also 4 lanes plus 2 dedicated bus lanes or future transit. So the widths, we're still in conversation with the task force about the placement. So you'll see those explorations of weaving from the north to the south are what we are looking at with them, and they'll be coming up with a recommendation soon. I'll talk to you about the project schedule here in just a second. A lot that they're grappling with is that this is a transportation project. However, balancing that with the stakeholder needs and desires, which are really calling out for preserving the businesses and the economic development in the area, preserving historic buildings, enhancing the visual quality of the area, and preserving the future for this corridor to be an urban transit corridor, walkable, bikeable, transit-oriented. The maps reflect public input that's been gathered over the last 2 years, and we're still gathering that input, including yours today. And again, pointing to the green form and your discussions. And we will use the maps during the discussions that you have in just a few minutes to talk through the implications they have with your property. Project milestones. We're hoping to get to an initial design decision with the task force this fall. That will go to mayor and council. That will really kick off the ability for us to develop the alignment plan and get that adopted with mayor and council's help early next year. It also kicks off the final design construction phase. So that's all embodied in one. We're going to get to it and boogie through starting in spring 2015 through to completion of construction. So final design through construction really entails all the work that gets started with the alignment decision. Acquisition planning and relocation planning gets started. The mayor and council will give approval to real estate to start that. That impacts you. Engineering and construction plans will go from the 15 or 30% that we'll end up with to 100%, meaning that we can get started. We'll, as we get closer to the 100%, we'll start doing pre-construction workshops and outreach with you, and Main Street Business Assistance Program will be a key role in that. And then once acquisition's complete and we've got our 100% drawings, we can go to bid construction and award it and get started. I am not the acquisition specialist, but I want to give you some initial information. We're still very early on in the project design, so it's hard for there to be very clear information to give you, but we can give you the general, some of those questions that you have. We have Dorothy Wieneman in the back room from Real Estate Office who can answer some of your direct questions. But just kind of quickly, we understand that there's concerns that the city will lowball during negotiations, that it's a very sort of structured type of approach, and I've got to share that we follow Arizona law that requires compliance with the federal standards. There's booklets in the back that Dorothy has that are blue booklets. They describe all of the benefits that are afforded to you, your rights and benefits under the federal guidelines. An important thing to note is that once they've done the acquisition and relocation planning is the point in time when they start contacting the property owners to set up negotiations and talk through what's needed and begin those conversations with you. The Federal Uniform Relocation Act talks about making one whole. Last week, I didn't have that in the presentation, and someone pointed that out, that the rights that you have as property owners are to be made whole when we are impacting or damaging you. So that Uniform Relocation Act really requires that we do that. The market value just compensation, that's used as a tool for the appraisals. You have the right to get your own appraisal. You don't have to agree with ours, and just, you have rights. We have to follow fair and consistent treatment. And as I mentioned, relocation assistance is available, and that's really for those who are displaced. So you have to leave your property. And an important notation, too, is that negotiations have to go parcel by parcel. This is part of that fair and consistent treatment. And I think that there's notions out there that, perhaps you get through your negotiation and then maybe a neighbor or two down, there's an opportunity to purchase a property that could potentially be used for your own parking or something. That's a second conversation. So your first tier negotiations are just through that particular parcel that you own. Real estate can only look at that and figure out how to make you whole. And then if you're interested in a future purchase, that can be shared with them, and that can be set up as a second conversation. So I just want to share that with you because there are some misconceptions or misunderstandings about that. And again, Dorothy can provide more direct information about that, as I am not the expert.